let's just take the feet hip socket distance apart and parallel, and just feel that nice equal spread of weight through the feet. So we're thinking of that triangle from the ball of the big toe to the ball of the little toe to the center of the heel. So feel that nice equal spread of weight. And let's just lift all 5 of the toes up, and you'll feel the arch lifting, and then try and lay the toes down one at a time. So little toe, then the 4th toe, middle toe, 2nd toe, big toe. Now I know it's not always quite as easy as that. We did this one last week. We're lifting them all up and then we're spreading them out as we're stretching them. So this, I like to call this hobbit feet, because I always think my feet look like hobbits' feet when you've got the toes really stretched out. Good. But really important for us to get toes working. It's just the same as anything else. Everything's got muscles, everything's got movement. Good. Now let's bend the right knee, just gently lifting the right heel off the floor, keeping the knee tracking in line with the toes, then swap to lift the left heel. So we're just swapping, like a little walk through the feet. So I think need to let someone else in. Good. And swap. Little swap. Let's do 4 more. 3, 2, 1. Now this time I want you to lift your right heel up and then lift your knee up as high to the chest as you can. Bring it back onto the ball of the foot and swap. Left heel up. We lift the knee, bring it down and swap. So still working through the feet, but we've added in the hip. Now we are going to do some controlled articulated rotations today, which we know are ways of working through joints in full range of movement if we can, or as big as we can get them. Good. 1 more on each side. Bend the toes back, lifting into the hip. So we're getting the hip moving. A little bit more of that with some more balance in a moment. Bring the left heel down. Good. Now we're going to try a wider squat position now. So let's take the legs a little bit wider. Not too wide yet, because we're just going to do a little sway from side to side. Now again, this is yes. I actually, when we're talking about plantar fasciitis, that can be quite a common problem. And you know, I haven't heard of Achilles tendonitis for ages, but this month, you're the 3rd person, Paula, this month that I've heard with Achilles tendonitis. Things go in trends, I'm sure they do. So gentle movement, but stretching calf is really good, and calf raises and things really good for that. And we know that we need to mobilize his ankles to be able to get off the floor without using our hands and getting down into full squat, which we're going to try a little bit later on. Let's go a bit wider with the feet now. Try and keep them more, again, turned out. So we've got those knees tracking in line with the toes, and we're going to bend those knees as deep as we can. Now, the position that we're in now, obviously, is much more turned out at the hip joint. So some of you might feel that this is way too overstretched for the inner thighs. So if it is, obviously, just come back in a little bit. But we're trying to, again, what we don't want to be, if I come sideways on, we don't want to be here in this bend and the knees be here, because this is going to twist out the knee. The ankle isn't in a great position. And we're not working so much from the hip. So really use the hip to get that lovely rotation. 2 more. Bend deep as you want to go. Again, you might need to consider knees a little bit, but just push it a little bit out of your comfort zone if you can. Now let's bend as deep as we can. Again, we're going to lift the right heel and lower. Left heel, just gentle movement, getting the calves working. Bring the heel as high as you can, keeping the tracking of that ankle nicely aligned with the shin bone and the toes. And lift. Good. So we've got a little bit of endurance on these legs to warm them up nicely. Last one. Press away. Give the legs a little shake out. Now this time we're going to do a little bit more rotation of the hip just to warm up the hip joints. We're kind of moving up the legs a little bit. Bend nice and deep. We're going to lift the right heel. Now pivoting on the ball of the foot, we're going to turn that knee in. So internally rotating the hip, turn it back out. Heel down. Left heel up. And in. And out. This one, as you know, I like to call the Elvis Presley. That's just what it reminds me of. And out. I'm sure he wouldn't do it quite as slow as this. And in, out. Good. Straighten up. Again, give those legs a little shake out, because we're going to stay in this position. We've got 1 more set, a little bit more endurance. But this time, we're going to involve the lower back and the pelvis. So bending those knees again as deep as you can, keeping that tracking, that pull out to squeeze the bottom to get that turn out of the legs. And now we're just going to try and isolate the rib cage by pulling it to the right, pulling it to the left. And this really gets those lower back muscles eased off and stretched and mobilized. 4 more. 3. I know it can be quite tricky for proprioception, this one. Back to center and relax. Bring those legs in, give them a little bit of a shake out. Excellent. Now we're going to go into a little curtsy lunge. Again, you don't have to go too deep on this one. It could be just a really small movement. So basically, we're going to be doing a curtsy, which is what a curtsy lunge is. But what's really nice with this, so let's take the right leg behind. Now it can be directly behind, or you can go a bit further over if you want to. As we bend, you can feel this leg's coming back, so it starts to give us a little bit of a stretch in the front of this hip here. And then we step on the right leg and we take the left leg back. But it's also because we're lunging and we're bending, it starts to work the muscles a little bit more, so we get nice warmed up muscles. And the deeper we go, obviously again, you've got to be careful of knees, ankles, anything that's got a bit of an issue at the minute. Just go a little bit, and then just test the water with it. Go a little bit lower, little bit lower. So if we've got this hip pulling back, this is a great advantage for us to get some really good rotation without cheating with the hips. So let's step on the left leg, take the right leg behind, and we're going to stretch that right arm and reach it across. Come on the right leg, this left arm now. So we're rotating, so we're now going into spinal movement and reach, which actually we've already done a little bit, haven't we, with those rib isolations. So we can get so much going here. We can get some good leg strength. So we know if we do squats and lunges are the best things you can possibly do for your leg muscles, to strengthen your leg muscles, to keep good, strong legs, to keep, you know, what the one big thing we want to do as we get older is get in and out of a chair without help, and that will help us. Good, and stretch. Well done. Give those legs a little shake out. So I just quite like adding spinal rotation to curtsy lunges because it adds so much more to the exercise, and really great way of getting spinal rotation without cheating. Good. Now we're going to side flex. Feet just about hip distance apart. Arms by your side. So remember, anything we do with the spine, pretty much, there is a bit of hinging sometimes, but when we're moving the spine, think of articulating. So when we curve forward, for example, we would let the head go, then upper spine. So with side flexion, we want to do exactly the same thing. We start with the head only. So we're moving the skull on top, then the neck starts to move. Now at this point, the shoulders are still square. Then we can try and think up and over rather than just sort of collapsing down to the side. Feel like you're using your abdominals to stretch you up. We go into the upper spine, and then we start to go into the lower spine, and we're sliding that hand towards the knee. Then we use this side waist to pull us back up. So there's a little bit of oblique work as well. When the shoulders are back in line, we then lift the head. Then we articulate it down to the left. So the ear comes to the shoulder. We're stretching this side of the neck. We've moved the neck. Keep lifting up and over, and we articulate down. Eventually, we'll go into our lower back. And then it's like you're rebuilding bone on top of bone, one at a time, lifting. Good. And again. So as you're going down, you might want to get a little feeling of where that finger is going to. Is it going to the knee, on the knee, past the knee? Make sure we're staying square, so it's like we're sandwiched between two panes of glass. And then as we go down to left again, staying very square. How far do we go down here? Is it a little bit further? Good. Now let's stretch this arm. Now you might be able to get even further again because we're stretching up a little bit more. Can we go a little bit deeper? The tissues are going to start to release as they warm up anyway. And then the right arm. Or it might just be you've got one arm longer than the other. That could be what it is. Good. Now, again, carry on with this without the arm. If you like the stretch, carry on with this, but we're going to add a little bit more work for obliques now. So pause there. Exhale, bring this right arm up towards the ear, and then we come back to center. Then both arms come down. Now keep them stretched back so we feel a nice stretch across the chest. Then we articulate down to the left. Good. Hold. Oh, sorry, we take the right arm up so we're stretching. If you want to now, we're going to exhale. Bring this arm up towards the ear. So now you'll probably feel, for some of you, this might be a little bit too much because it's adding the weight of the arm to the spine. So it means the muscles have got to work a lot harder. So maybe if you haven't done quite so much, big stretch. Breathing in, exhale, bring that arm up, and then feel that extra bit of work. So don't worry, if it feels a little bit pulling your back, don't do it. Just do the stretch or just the side flexion. Pause, breathe out, arm comes up, back to center. And then again, stretch those arms back so we really feel this across the chest, across the front of the shoulders as the arms come down. Give them a little shake out. Excellent. Now we're going to go into a very gentle calf stretch now. So again, this is really great for any kind of foot, lower leg issues. So again, things like plantar fasciitis, if you've had that in the past and you want to avoid it coming back, do lots of calf stretching. Gentle stretching to begin with. But again, we know this is really good for our ankle mobility, which is going to help our knee, our hips, our lower back, and it's going to help us get up off the floor and get into full squat position. So toes are forward. Now, first of all, just very gently start to bend your left knee to the point where you feel a gentle stretch, but we're not over pulling or stretching anything. We can just feel that mild tension in that lower leg. Good. Then I want you to bring your arms up to your ears. So really stretching. So now this isn't too tough because we haven't got anything to kind of work against. Like if you were against a wall, that would be quite hard. But I want you to imagine almost that you've got perhaps like under the staircase when it slopes, and we're trying to get our head and our arms and our spine against that slopey wall. Good. Now we're going to bring the arms back and squeeze. So like tram lines, I want you to squeeze the shoulder blades now to bring those arms back. Now they're going to come forward again, but as they do, I want you to lift your back heel, and then you're going to bring those arms back to the ears, but now bring the body down and lift the leg. So there's a little bit of balance, but there's also a little bit of glute work here. Good. Then we're going to lower the leg back down, and again, as the heel gently presses, we're going to bring those arms back again, squeezing those shoulder blades. So really getting the upper back working now. Bring the arms forward as you do lift the back heel. Keep the front leg bent, squeeze the bottom to lift the leg, and we're in a nice flat back. What we're trying to do is get into a nice horizontal line, but don't worry if you're not quite there. Let's do that one more time. Foot comes down, heel comes down, gently stretch and squeeze those arms behind you. Lift the back heel, shift the weight into the front leg. Last one, hold it here, balancing. So really focus on that foot working, the bottom squeezing, the arms lifting, and stretch them a little bit longer, and then stand back up. Woo, well done. Tougher than it looks, that one, isn't it? We're on the right leg now. We're going to take the left leg back. So we've got, unfortunately, another side to do now. Heel down, toes forward. So again, just get a mild stretch. We want to feel tension in a stretch. We want to feel tension in the muscle, but not to the point of straining. So very gentle stretching. Now we want the line to be, as we did before, from the crown of the head right the way down to the heel. So we're not upright here because this will probably extend our lower back a little bit too much. Then we're going to bring those arms up. So now we're challenging our shoulders. Good. Now we're going to sweep those arms back, squeeze the shoulder blades together, lift them as high as you can, but keep them in those tram lines. As they come forward, we're going to lift the back heel, bring those elbows to the ears again, but lower the body and lift the leg. So we're bent on that right leg. Lots of core work here as well. Then the leg comes down as we start to press that heel back into the floor gently. We're going to bring these arms back. But if you've lost your stretch now, bend your front knee a little bit more. Good. As the arms come forward, we start to lean. All our weight is coming into our right leg. So we're loading that right leg with all our body weight now. Good. Balancing, everything working. Tummy in tight. Bring the leg down as you go back into that calf stretch. We keep that front leg bent and we squeeze those arms behind us. Good. One last time. Shift the weight into that right leg. So one-legged work is really good for loading the tissues with more weight, strengthening them more. Squeeze. Then bring the leg down, arm down. That was more difficult than it was in my head working it out earlier. Give the legs a little shake out. Excellent. Now we're going to do a little stretch here. Now this is much more like what we were just doing and less rounded as I was talking about earlier. It's a little hinge, so no rounding, no C-curving of the spine. And I want you to take your right leg and cross it over your left leg. So legs are squeezing together, but we've got one leg crossed over the other to squeeze the inner thighs. Now just let your arms hang, they can drop. We're going to think sit bones up, and all we're going to do is bend at the hips. Now your back stays long, so we maintain that little natural curve, and just think sit bones up. Now some of you may not go very far before you start to feel that too intensely in the hamstrings, and come back up. So we just stretched into calves, so we're now stretching into the hamstrings, and up. Good. Now this can sometimes, if you're quite tight in calves, you can feel it here as well, because the whole sort of back of the leg stretches down. So think sit bones up, just to gently stretch, but we're actually working our spinal extensors, our back muscles, because we've got a flat back, and we've got to work them to stop. You know, if you let go with gravity now, we'd do this, wouldn't we? We go into a flex position. So keep that chest lifted. Well done. Let's switch to the other side now. Left leg across, and again just let the arms hang, so they naturally just drop. We're not really thinking of anything with the arms, and feel if that's a little bit different on this side, because the front leg that's crossed over at the front there, probably going to feel a little bit more stretched now because it's slightly further forward, so we're going to be stretching it out a little bit more. Good. 2 more, just a gentle stretch. So at the beginning we don't, you know, in the world of stretch, things have changed a lot. They just keep changing, actually. So it's really difficult to kind of keep up with what the latest sort of research is when it comes to stretching. But it's very much kind of coming back in trend again, stretching. Give the leg, this should help us with our roll down in a moment. Now, actually, let's go straight into roll downs. Grab your mat if you've got one. Don't worry if you haven't, as long as you've got something nice and soft to sort of lie on when we finally get to the floor. Come to the back edge of your mat, because we're actually going to come into 4-point kneeling when we come down and do a little bit of work there. So first of all, we're going to add some good shoulder work to this as well. So our first thing we're going to do, we've got the feet hip distance apart, standing nice and tall, so really thinking of a good postural position. Breathing in, we're going to bring those arms up like we did just a moment ago. But now, thinking of the lower ribs staying down and the tailbone down, upper spine is going to extend as we circle the arms around. The palms then come into the sides. The arms are by our side. Then we're going to chin tuck to nod the head. Feel the neck working first, then the upper spine. So if you imagine, and you can do this against a wall if you want to, we take the head and the upper spine away first. As we're bringing the upper spine away from that wall, we're trying to push the small of the back against that wall. Now I want you to get as much stretch through your lower back as you can before you hinge at the hips and come all the way down. At the bottom, just let your head and your arms fully relax. Don't worry if you're nowhere near the floor, it doesn't matter. It's not about how close you can get to the floor. It's about going as far as you feel your hamstrings stretching, letting the head fully relax. Keep it relaxed as you draw the sit bones down towards the heels now. So try and get that pelvis back in line with the legs, curving through that lower back, restacking the spine. Head sits back on top of the spine. Then we start again. So let's speed that up a little bit now. So we're trying to extend our upper spine, our thoracic spine, and our cervical spine, our neck. And then we start again with the neck articulating. We flex it forward, working back through those abdominals. We roll it down, eventually letting go at the hips, feeling your stretch without forcing it again, just light tension. And then we think of getting that pelvis back on top of the legs. Now, actually, if you have a look at your thigh bones, you'll see as soon as you take the tailbone down and get pelvis back in line, and we're working our glutes a little bit there, the hips rotate. And again, up and around. Let's do one more full one. So again, really think of that lovely bone by bone feeling as you're rolling down. And please feel free to use the wall if you want to. I think sometimes it's really good bit of feedback for your movement. Last one. If your shoulders don't like this, you can just bend the elbows if you like, or you can just leave the arms hanging. Good. Now at the bottom this time, we're going to just stay there for a couple of breaths. And I want you to just let your head feel really heavy and just give it a little nod or a swing. Just to make sure, because I think sometimes I see a lot of people in this kind of folded forward position, or stretch, and they're still active in the neck, and we want to really let the neck fully relax. So we're decompressing the discs in the neck, the upper spine. And then just take a very gentle sway from the right foot to the left foot, just feeling a little bit of rotational movement around that lower back. One more each way. And then when we come back to center, we're going to bend the knees, bring the hands to the floor, and just lower your knees down if you're comfortable. Good. Now, I know some of you do suffer a little bit with knees. Sometimes cushions under knees help. If cushions under knees don't help, come and sit on your bottom and I will give you a different exercise to do. So we're just going to do a little hinge forward and back first of all. You could actually do this without your knees on the floor. You could tuck your toes under and just do a little hinge forward and back. But actually it's a hell of a lot harder as far as core work is concerned. Sometimes cushions help though. If not, just do a little seated option. So your modification sitting for this is just a little hinge back. And what you might want to do, because we're getting wrist work, is just do some little wrist circles as you hinge forward and back instead. Good. If you're happy in 4-point kneeling, come back so that your wrists are back directly below your shoulders. Got that nice neutral curve. So we've got like a little puddle of water in the small of our back. And we're going to take one hand away now. So take your right hand away and place it by your temple with the elbow lifted. So a bit like you're saluting. And we're going to do a thread the needle here. We're going to take that elbow through, bending your left elbow. Try and feed the arm through, bringing the shoulder as close to the floor as you can. And then we're going to open that elbow and shoulder up to the ceiling as high as you can. And again, bringing it through. We're going to do 4 of these on each side. Stretching. If you can, try not to sit your hips back. I think what's really tempting is to sit the hips back over the heels. So keep your hips over your knees. And then really lift that elbow up and that shoulder to look towards the ceiling. One more. Through. So we get that lovely rotational stretch, but also here, have a little rest off that arm now. Could you feel you've got to give that arm a bit of a shake, because all our body weight is loaded through that arm. This is why I really like these kind of 4-point kneeling things and planks, and because it really works on our shoulder and arm strength. Let's go into the other side now. So left hand by the temple. And again, we're going to bend the left. Now that's completely optional actually. As we come through, you've got a couple of options here. You might just want to rotate the spine, in which case you don't have to bend the elbow. You just go under and then lift that shoulder and elbow up to the ceiling. But if we bend the elbow, we're then working through the triceps more. So working more muscles through the arms because we're pushing the weight of the body away from the floor. So if you want to get more work, so it's like a single arm press up basically. Well done. When you've done your 4th and final one, so we're coming through and then opening. So we get that, and again, that lovely twist, that lovely rotational feeling, and that lovely openness of the chest as well. Have a little sit back, come off the arms for a moment. Give the wrists a good circle round. Excellent. Now we're going to go into some hip mobility. So we'll do 4-point kneeling hip mobility first, and then we're going to do the shoulders. So we're going to do the hip cars and then the shoulder cars. So again, here if you can, there is again a seated version. If you want to do the seated version, you would sit and you're going to basically take your leg up and around like this if you're finding it hard on your knees. So let's start with the right leg first. So we're going to take it to the side of us without lifting the hips. So the pelvis is level. Imagine you've got a glass of water sitting on your lower back. Then we're going to push the foot to the ceiling as we bring the knee behind us, and then take it all the way around. Almost like you're trying to cross the other leg. Then push it back up to the ceiling, lift the knee and the foot, and then try and bring the foot down a little bit lower than the knee, up and around and back. We might, if we get time, we're going to try a few more of these when we come into side lying. Let's just do one more, because I don't want to keep you hanging here too much if you've got wrist or knee problems. And out and down. Good. Come off those arms for a minute. Let's go on to the other leg. So we're kind of just trying to internally and externally rotate this leg as much as we can. So let's go to the side now with the left leg. Take it behind you, pushing the foot to the ceiling. Then you're trying to use your inner thigh to take that leg across that center line a little bit. So I'll turn my back to you so you can see a little bit more what I'm doing. Then we go up. And then as you come to the side, try and keep the knee up and try and lower the foot a little bit lower than the knee. Sometimes it won't happen. Don't force it. And across and up. While we're doing this, try not to sink into that upper back. Keep pushing the floor away from you. So spreading the fingers across. And last one, back out. So again, when we're doing mobility, when we're doing all this sort of dynamic mobility work, just pushing yourself, you have to start gently. So again, if you're quite new to this work, don't push it to the point of discomfort. Just get things moving, and then we can start to really push it beyond our sort of our comfort zone to get more range of movement. Well done, good. Now shoulders. So we're coming back into 4.9. Last one here, I promise, and we can come off our arms. So right arm first of all. We're going to bring that arm forward. So the palm is in. Then we're going to take the arm to the side of us, taking the palm down. Then it's like you're pushing something away. You turn the palm away from you and then bring it behind you, keeping as high towards the ceiling behind you as you can. Then keeping those shoulders level. So again, this is really tough on the supporting arm as well. Bring it in and down. Then the left arm. We come up, take it to the side, keep it as high as you can without the shoulder lifting any higher. Turn the palm up, reach the arm behind you, but also keeping it as high as you can. And then rotate the palm back down, bring the palm in and lower it down. Good. I'm just going to leave that there for now because I want to, if we get time, do that front line, but add it with some other work as well. Good. Now let's come down into a sitting position. Okay, so we're just going to do, before we come into some more kind of core work and abdominal work, I want to just go into a little bit more mobility of the ankle joint. So this is where you might want to sit up on a cushion or a block or something. If it's a little bit tight in hamstrings, sit up on something just to release that a little bit. And then we're just going to hold on to our right leg. It doesn't have to be too tight, but it's just to keep the shin really still to begin with. And I want you to almost feel like you're drawing a big square with your foot. So flex that foot back first of all. Take it to the right. Take it down, take it to the left, up and across. Then go the other way, down. Now we're going to join in with the knee now. So now hold on to the back of the thigh, and I want you to straighten the leg, pull it to the right. As you go down, pull it down to the bottom of your rectangle or square. Take it across and up. Take it out. As you go down, we're going to bend the knee, take it across and up. 2 more. So this sometimes can cause a bit of cramp. I often get cramps up here. Does anybody else get cramp up there? Good. Last one, across and up. Oh, it's a full range, and this is so important. I think this is where we really, when we're thinking about exercising, we always think of the cosmetic areas, don't we? Like the abs and the glutes, and maybe the arms and shoulders. So hold on to the shin first, and let's just get that big square, flexing the ankle first. Take it out to the left, push it down to that left bottom corner, take it across and up and back. So we're drawing like a square or a rectangle. Now hold on to the back of the thigh because we're going to involve the knee as well. So we're going to take it across. As we lift, we take it up. Take it to the left, bend the knee as we go down, take it across, up, out, down. 2 more, cross, up, out. Good. So to keep really good movement of the body and to make it functional, we've got to think a little bit outside the box. It's just not all about glutes and abs. Obviously, they need to be strong, but so does everything else. So do our leg muscles, our feet. It's important we've got that good mobility. Now keep the legs around in front of you, and I'm going to start you off again. This is level 1. Hands behind the thighs, and we're lifted into a really nice tall position. So again, our spine is in its natural curves, what we consider to be our good postural sort of position. All I want you to do is work your lower back. So keeping the crown of the head pulling up to the ceiling, we're going to tuck the tailbone under. So like you're trying to bring your sit bones up towards your knees. Now obviously this will start to curve a little bit more up the back, further back we go, and then lift. And see if you can go back a little bit further, but really use your abs to make sure there's no collapsing, because I could go into this and it'll look like I'm in a C curve, which is what I'm telling you to do, but I want you to use the abs to feel the work of that lift of the spine. Then go back as far as you can, extending your arms, thinking sit bones right up towards the ceiling, or up to those knees. So we're curving that lumbar spine. Now the arms are being pulled forward, so the shoulder blades are widening. Let the chin tuck, and we should get a nice little upper back stretch as well. So you may just want to use it just to help you with your movement and to get a really nice stretch. And that's fine if that's all you want to do this evening. Maybe you've been sat and not moving very much, maybe sat at a desk, at a computer, and you just want to stretch it out. And then shoulders back over hips, and we restack again. Now, next option is to bring the arms out in front of you. We're going to do the same thing, but now you haven't got the support of the arms. So now it means we're going to have to work harder. Now, you might feel your hip flexors gripping a little bit here as well, because we've taken this support away now. And because we're moving, if you have a little look where we're moving from, we're now bringing the legs and the body closer together. So those hip flexors pretty much have to work. Lifting up, tucking under. Let the shoulders relax. Lower back touching the mat, and up we come. Shoulders back over hips. Good. So that's level 2. So you can stay with the arms there and just do another set of those. We'll do 4 more for those of you that can. We're going to go all the way back. So this is full roll back. The legs can be straight, bent, whatever you like, together, apart, long frog, doesn't matter. Take the legs where you feel comfortable. So again, arms behind the legs or here, we tuck under, we lift that spine. Now, if you feel you can get the small of the back to the floor, but not the shoulder blades, and there's no collapsing, no lifting of the legs, you're probably good to go. Taking the head down and take the arms either by your side or overhead. Then we lift the arms, we nod the head to look down to the knees. Now this is the tricky bit because we've got to get back up again. So we chin tuck, we round that spine to make sure the tailbone is tucking under so we can roll ourselves back up until the shoulders are back over the hips, and we lift. Good. So we're going to do 3 more, whatever version you want to do, whether it's still here and stretching, or if you're going all the way back or somewhere in the middle, doesn't matter. Do what you feel comfortable with. If you really want to work the abs, and you know, and we know we've dissected this exercise so many times, and there's so many different reasons why we may struggle to get off the floor. And it's not just that I know people that are really strong in their abs and still struggle to do this exercise because maybe their body proportions aren't favorable. Maybe I'm quite long in the limbs, so I've got a shorter body, longer legs. It means I've got less weight to pull up, more weight to hold me down. If you're the other way, it's going to be tricky, isn't it? Now this time, we can all come down because we're going to stay there. But if you want to, if you find that strains your back, come onto your side and lower yourself down gently. Otherwise, slowly down. And we're going to stay on the floor. Now you might want, if you feel when you're back, let the head rest down, bring the feet a bit closer to your bottom. So you've got the feet and knees, hip socket distance apart. Let your lower back feel heavy and relaxed. Maybe just do a little rock and roll if you like, just to allow your spine to fall into its natural curves again. Maybe give the head a little roll from side to side if you like, just to release any neck tension. But if you feel a little bit tilted back, if you feel almost like when your head's back, you're looking to the wall behind you, add a folded towel or a cushion or something just to give your head a little bit of more alignment and support. Good. Now we're going to go into some core stability work. So we're going to start off with a really gentle knee drop. So imagine that imagery is really good with these exercises. So imagine you've got a marble sitting on your pelvis. And as we let the knee drop, we're not going to allow that marble to roll off the right hip. So keep it dead in the center. Take your arms off the floor if you can, just so that we're less tempted to kind of push into the floor and overuse them. So deep breath in. As we exhale, all we're going to do is allow that right knee to move out to the side. Now it's only going as far as you can keep your marble balanced in the center. So maybe get a feeling of what's going on in your lower back and then return that knee in line with the hip socket. Then the left leg goes out. So we're using our core muscles. Basically, we're tightening up the tummy muscles to stop that pelvis from moving with the leg. Or if it helps, maybe a glass of water. Or something a bit warmer, a bowl of soup maybe, now it's getting colder. So whatever works imagery for you to keep your pelvis still, allow the weight of one leg. So we're working asymmetrically here. We're adding weights to one side, we're working unilaterally, and then we bring it in. So this is our obliques again, our deep abdominals, our deep waist muscles that are supporting that. Good. Last one on each side, finishing with the left leg. Pull it back in. Good. So it's a really simple exercise, but actually, you know, I think I like giving this to everybody. So it's a really good one for us to go back to, so we really know exactly what we're doing when it comes to core stability. Now, the next exercise, we're going to do starfish. We're going to slide our right leg away as our left arm goes overhead towards the floor behind you. And then slide the leg back in as the arm returns. So level 1 is really simple. We just slide the left leg away now and the right arm reaches so. So we're going in opposition. But again, I want you to really focus in on your spine and your pelvis now. Are we just moving the arm and the leg from the shoulder and the hip joint without moving the center of the body? Or when we're dragging that leg in, is the pelvis tucking, is the spine moving, is the back arching as we stretch away? Are we taking the arm too far that we can't keep the ribs down? So I would exhale as you take the leg away and the arm over. Remember to keep that lovely stability that we want in the spine. So those of you that want to work a bit harder, we hover the foot off the floor. So as soon as we take that foot a millimeter off the floor, we've loaded the weight of that leg into the pelvis now and the spine. So we can take the leg away and the arm reach. Make sure we're not forcing that arm too far back. So this is a little bit harder, isn't it? Taking the leg off the floor, especially the further you take that leg away, the more it stretches away from you, the further away from the center line it's getting, the more weight you're loading onto your pelvis and spine. So the harder it is to keep it nice and still. Good. One more on each side, because we're going to try and take this to the next level in a moment. But we're going to do a different exercise before we do. So we'll finish left leg, right arm. And then let's just go into some very basic single knee folds. So just make sure those knees are hip distance apart. So imagine now that you've got a sheet of really, really thin ice sitting underneath the feet. So we don't want to break through that ice. So as we think about that left foot staying light on the floor, on the ice, we're going to breathe in. As we breathe out, we're going to bring the right leg up into a little tabletop position. Now try and sit that knee directly above the hip socket. Bring it a little bit closer to your chest now and feel how actually the core muscles switch off, because the leg is just coming towards us. So we don't need to hold it there so much anymore. It's folding in. Now push it away a little bit further than you were holding it initially and feel how the core muscles really switch on again. And then take that foot back down. Keep it light. No pressing that foot into the floor. As we exhale, bring the left leg up. So let's just try that again. We're going to bring the knee in. Feel how the core muscles don't have to work so hard now, because the weight of the leg's just kind of folded in towards us. Now start to push the leg away, straightening it out a little bit, taking the knee away from you. And now you're going to feel those core muscles actively just switching on automatically, and then take the foot to the floor. Good. So you could again just stick with that, just the single knee fold, just bringing it above the hip, or we go up with the right leg. If you feel stable enough, we're now going to bring the left leg up to join it. So you've got both legs in the air. Now, if you bring that second leg up and your back is arching, or you're bringing your knees loads closer than chest than you want to really, I would stick with the single knee fold. Right leg comes down, left leg comes down. We're keeping it slow. Left leg up. Right leg comes up to join it. Now remember, it really will make a massive difference to your core work where you're holding those legs. So if those legs are coming closer to the chest, then we're taking some of that weight away, which is fine. If it's aggravating your back, the back doesn't like it. It's exactly what you need to do. So, you know, sometimes your instincts will tell you, just listen to your body. Good. Well done. Let's do one more on each side. So up. So I always try to say, try and keep the knee directly above the hip socket. So we've got that nice vertical thigh bone, because that's where we're going to feel those muscles switching on. And it is pretty much an automatic thing. You don't have to take a deep breath in, tighten up the abs, and then lift up. As soon as your brain senses that we've got more weight there, it's going to switch on. Good. Now keep the legs up and just give your knees a little hug to the chest for a moment. And then bring them back to that tabletop position if you can. Now what you may need to do here, if this is way too much for your back, just let your heels drop to the bottom a little bit, so that will take the weight off. We're going to slowly take our right leg down to tap the floor lightly and bring it back up. So we're actually starting with both legs in the air this time. Then the left leg goes down. So again, what we're working to keep that spine nice and still is what we always call is our core muscles, our transversus muscles. Our transversus abdominis is their actual name, but they're just those much deeper ones that are really pretty much like a corset wrapping around your spine, holding it there. Now, for those of you that want to make this a little bit harder, arms are by our sides now, and as you take your right leg down, your left arm goes overhead, as we did before with starfish. So this is the slightly more advanced position now. Now, those of you that are a little bit more advanced, you might be wanting to straighten that leg away. So we know, again, the longer that lever is and the further it is away from the point we're working from, the harder it's going to be. Stretch it away. Good. One more on each side. So just feel, if you're ready to, it's just feeling again, what's going on? Am I able to stabilize this spine? Is my back arching? Is it moving? But we want to challenge a little bit. We're only going to build strength if we add more weight and we challenge a little bit more. Good. Take a little break now. Hug of the knees. Now let's come on to our side, because I was going to do spine curl next, but again, just conscious if any of you needed to go a little bit earlier. I want to get both side lying in first. We're going to straighten out both legs. So we're coming into torpedo position. Now you may want your block or cushion for your head here, or you could just use your arm. So I just like to bend my arm and just rest it there. But some of you might want to bring the arm forward. Maybe you've got a shoulder issue and just have the block or a cushion underneath the head. Doesn't really matter. But both legs are straight. So our whole body is stacked. So be careful not to allow the hip or the shoulder to move forward in front. Shoulder is on top of shoulder, hip on hip, knee on knee, ankle on ankle. Good. Now, first of all, we're just going to start with an abductor lift. So we're working laterally from the hip this time. Now, we do want to make sure we're still in that lovely neutral curve. So that means having our waist and our rib cage just a little bit lifted off the mat, and try and maintain that. So I think what I normally do is think of lengthening that top hip. Maybe hand on the hip. We've got a balance here though. It's quite a balanced position. Keeping the knee forward, we're going to lift that leg up and lower it down with control. Lifting up, lowering down. So think of stretching it away from you. So think of that leg lengthening away from your hip away from your rib cage. Good, let's do 4 more. So we kind of loaded up our quads and we stretched out our hamstrings a little bit, and we've kind of worked those as well. Now we're working our lateral flexors. Good. Now we're going to add the adductors. So they were the abductors. We're now going to go on inner thighs. Now just lift your leg just to hip socket level. Stretch your bottom leg and lift up the thigh bone and the knee to squeeze up to the top leg. Squeeze those legs together and then lower them both down. Now, if you just have your hand on your waist and dig your fingers into your waist, when you lift that bottom leg up, you'll really feel these obliques kick in, our waist muscles. You'll feel them tightening. So dig your fingers in and feel those muscles working. Up and lift. So it's a bit wobbly as well. So you might not want your hand here. You might want it in front because you might be wobbling. I think when you're new to this exercise, it can be really wobbly. Squeeze it up and lower it back down. 2 more. Top leg. So that's getting a little bit of endurance as we lift the bottom leg up. Try not to bend the knee. We don't want the hamstrings overworking. If you do struggle with this one, do some little inner thigh squeezes with a cushion or a ball or something between the knees, just to strengthen that way first, maybe. Good, well done. Now lift the top leg, lift the bottom leg up, hold it there. And we're going to just do a little scissor movement. Top leg goes a bit forward, bottom leg back, and squeeze back to the center. Bottom leg forward, top leg back. These are called side-lying scissors, not size-lying scissors. And squeeze and forward with the bottom leg, squeezing from the hips. 4 more, and together. 3, rest when you need to, because this one's not easy. This is kind of next level again. And 4, squeeze those glutes, bottom muscles, and back. Well done. Now bring the legs up in front of you, so we've got 90 degrees at the hips and the knees. Arm in front, and we're just going to do 4 big chalk circles. So let's take the arm up, let the head watch the arm as it goes round, something nice now. Little bit of rotation again, and again, circle it up and round. Good. 2 more. Nice deep breath in. As we go around, exhale to return the arm. 1 more. So it's just like you're drawing a big circle around your body. Well done. Let's change over to the other side now. You can just roll over or change ends, whatever's easiest. Support the head. Legs nice and long, everything stacked. So just check first of all, as you look down, you want this to be a position like you're standing, basically. Waist nicely lifted, everything stacked. So top leg first, maybe again, hand on the hip, just to remind us that we're lengthening that hip away as we lift that leg up. Slowly down, don't let it drop. Put the brakes on as you come down. Lifting again, really pushing as high as you can. So again, I think lots of movements we do sometimes, we just move a little bit, but probably we could move a little bit more. And that's what's going to make us more mobile, more flexible. Good, last one. Now we're not going to go as high as that this time. We're just going to go up a little bit in line with our hip sockets, squeeze the bottom leg up to that top leg. Both legs come down. Top leg, squeeze it up and lower it back down. Good. Top leg, squeeze. So think of thigh bone and knee lifting. Again, it could be really different on the other leg. You might find that one leg, inner thigh, is a bit stronger than the other. Again, obliques are working. So this is great for our legs, for our hips, and actually for our waist muscles as well. And squeeze and lower down. Good. 2 more. Lift top leg underneath. Now this time we're going to hold it up. Top leg, bottom leg up, hold it there. Top leg goes slightly forward, squeeze the bottom, take the bottom leg back a little bit, and in the middle. Now you can just rest now if you like, because this one is quite hard, or just carry on with a few more of the lifts of the underneath leg. Well done. Just 4 more. Top leg forward, bottom leg back, and squeeze. And 3, 2 more. Squeeze. Last one. Excellent. Squeeze it back together and lower it down. Bring the legs up in front of you now. So again, make sure that waist doesn't drop. The ribs want to drop as soon as we bring the legs up. So try and keep everything nicely stacked again. And we take a breath in, bring the arm up past the ear, circle it around, lovely big circle, round and back, past your thigh bone. And again, 3 more, up and round. This is a feel-good exercise. And I'm sorry I'm only giving you 4 of these. I'm giving you more repetitions of all the things you don't like so much. And round and back. Good. And relax. Well done. Come and lie on your front now. So we're just going to do a really basic bit of extension, but again, just really focusing on the articulation, on the movement of the spine. So arms are going to come into cobra position. Again, if you don't feel comfortable lying on your front, you could put a cushion maybe under hips or chest if that feels better, or instinctively change the position of the arms if you need to. You could have a little cushion under the forehead if you like, or a little folded towel. And we've got thumbs roughly in line with the nose, that nice wide position. Now let your arms, your head, your abs are switched off, your glutes, your legs, everything is relaxed. All we're going to do to start with is breathing in, lifting our head to look forward a little bit. So again, just like earlier on when we rolled down, we're now extending by lifting the head. So think of the chin pulling forward, then start to lift the collarbone and the breastbone. Now come as high as you can without using your arms, keeping your lower ribs in contact with the mat, and then lower back down. Letting the head come down last. So again, it's all articulation. Head and neck first. Now we know we're much tighter. Our thoracic spine has very little movement and extension. I think we've got really around about 10 degrees of movement, as opposed to the neck, which is about 90. So you can look as high as you like. And lifting. Getting those upper back muscles working. So we should feel some really good, because it's hard to move the spine. We're working really hard to try and get as much flexibility and extension as we possibly can. Good. Now stretch your arms out ahead of you. So we're in a big star position now. Now we're going to do the same thing, but as you lift your head and your chest, you're going to lift your right arm and your left leg. So we're now working into the shoulder and the hip as well, squeezing the bottom to lift that leg and lower back down. And then lift the left arm and the right leg. So we're alternating and lower. Good. Now, just try and be careful to not rotate though, because as we're lifting the right arm, the shoulder wants to push higher, pull higher than the other shoulder. And I want you to keep them nice and level. Up and down. Good. One more on each side. So this is a little bit harder now because we've added the weight of the arm to lift up with that back. And now, obviously, again, obliques are working because they're stopping us. It's the internal obliques to prevent us from rotating rather than actually rotating us, which we're going to do next. So come and have a sit back into your rest position. So this could be, if you don't feel comfortable sitting back on your hips here, if that's too much bend for the knees, come into a cat stretch instead. So you feel that spine rounding, stretching. Excellent. Good. Then come and lie back down on your back. And we're going to do some little hip rolls. Now, hip rolls are lovely. But, of course, again, you have the option, if you like, to bring the legs up if you want to add more load. So if we do it with the legs down, we're just going to be hip rolling from side to side. You've got your arms a little bit wider with the palms up so you get a nice open chest feeling. And we just rock the hips, but it's a controlled movement, so working the waist. If you want to bring your legs up, and that's again going to add more work to the core, and we obviously have to use the obliques more to control the legs. So what I want you to do is decide which position you're in, feet down, feet up. And then as we exhale, we're going to rock the hips and legs to the right, and the head can roll to the left, and just feel that left arm reaching a little bit more to keep that shoulder blade in contact with the mat. Pause and breathe in, exhale, pull back to the center. Then we go to the left as the head rolls to the right, just feeling that nice little bit of rotation. And then pause, breathe in there, exhale, come back to center. If the legs are up, what's going to happen is we are loading up a bit more, so the muscles are having to work harder, but you're probably not going to get the feeling of stretch, and you're probably not going to get as much range of movement either. It's going to be harder to keep that shoulder blade down. I think whenever you've got more weight on something, you'll find you don't get as much range of movement. Good. Let's just do one more each way, because I didn't realise what the time was. We've only got 5 minutes left. Last one over to the left. And then bring the feet back down to the floor. Grab your band. If you haven't got a band, if you've got a scarf or a tie or anything, or just grab hold of the back of the right thigh and straighten the leg up. But if you do have a band or something to hold on to that leg, or maybe you've got a yoga strap, something like that, you're going to get the band nice and flat, place the ball of the foot on I think it really cradles it and gives it some nice support. Bring that leg up and then slide the other leg away. And we're going to find that bit of tension again in the back of the thigh. So we did a little bit of stretching at the beginning. We're going to try and stretch it a little bit more now, just to gain a little bit more flexibility. We've warmed the legs up nicely. And just take a couple of nice deep breaths. Now, of course, if you want to, and I would suggest if anybody's had any kind of sciatica more recently, just hold this stretch gently. Otherwise, point and flex at the foot. So this again gets the ankle working. So we get that little bit of dorsiflexion, and really good again for the stretch for the Achilles and the calf. We get that movement, but we also get a little bit of strength as we're pushing into the band, but it mobilizes the sciatic nerve. It gives it a little glide, a little mobility, or some people call it flossing. Well done. Let's switch to the other leg. I would have liked to have held this a little bit longer, but as usual, I got a bit carried away with some of the exercises. So let's support that leg. Other leg straight if you can. It doesn't have to be. I prefer personally straightening out my other leg because something anchors the tailbone down and it keeps you much more in a natural position. So we're gonna, if we're in that same position and we know we've got the tailbone anchored to the floor, then we're gonna have a comparative position, aren't we? We're always gonna know if we're getting more flexible. Then if you like, start to point and flex at the ankle joint, pointing and flexing. 2 more. Last one. Good. Finish with that little stretch back if you can, so you feel the stretch go from the hamstrings up into the calf, and then bend the knee. Take the band away. Excellent. Now we're going to finish with a little glute stretch. So you can either rest your right ankle on your left knee and then grab hold. If you need a deeper stretch, just grab hold of the back of the left thigh, draw the legs in. Or of course, if you want to get a spinal stretch as well, we can sit and take the right leg over the left leg. Use the left arm to pull the knee in, sit nice and tall and gently rotate. So that way we've got the glute stretch and we've got some spinal rotation, a little stretch there. Completely up to you. Or you could do ankle on knee and sit and press the chest towards the legs. Same position as the sitting, lying down one. Well done. Let's change sides. So again, either left ankle on right knee now, or take the left leg over the right. Sit tall. Every stretch has another option. So if you don't feel that you're getting the best stretch, or you don't really feel like you're getting anything out of it, just let me know and I can give you a different version that hopefully you'll feel it better. Now, if you're lying down, just let go of the legs now. Gently bring yourself up into a sitting position. You may want a cushion or a block here. Please don't feel obliged to do this if your knees are really bad. We're going to try and get into full squat, but the easiest thing for most people is to take something under the heels. So if you know you can, come into full squat, like gnome position. Now, this is where you need that ankle movement because it's really hard. So if you do struggle, then take a block underneath your heels, or a cushion underneath the heels, or a rolled up towel, or even just if you've got a yoga mat, roll that up, place it under the heels. And then we should be able to sit. Can you feel the massive difference in your knees here and hips? It means we can get right down into this position. So just try doing it with whatever works now. Find something a little bit lower and a little bit lower and keep trying it, lowering those heels down and down and down until we can get those heels all the way to the floor. And then from there, we're going to try and stand up. So push through the legs to come up to stand. So we've been trying this all year, those of you that have been with me all year. And it's, if we can stand up from there like that, then, we can do this. It's just a matter of keep mobilizing these joints and building up that strength. Let's take the right leg now behind the left leg, right arm up, and a lovely big stretch all the way down that right side. Then step on your right leg, take the left leg behind, and a lovely big stretch up and over. Good. And then just take a deep breath in, flexing forward, cross the arms, reaching up, extend to look up to the ceiling as we draw those arms back as far as we can and down. Just give everything a little shake out. And good work. Well done.